Hi and welcome back. I know it's been about a week or so since I have uploaded anything, and that is because I was in North Carolina visiting my son and granddaughter. And so I took a little bit of time to just kind of decompress. And I would have, I like to batch things and put them out, get them all set up early, but the month leading up to my leaving was super busy anyway, and I was sick, and so it was just like, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to take a break. So that's where I've been, but I am back, and my plan kind of going forward now that we've hit the 1 year anniversary is to put out about 6 videos a month. And that'll be like one video every week and then an additional video every other week. That I think is a very doable kind of cadence for me, and just to keep the content something that's interesting and exciting and not just putting content out to put content out. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's first just do a really quick recap on our April stats and what we made and, all that good stuff. So I finally finished the Mystical Tee, and this is by Hand Jan Crochet. I'll put some photos of me, because if I stand up, it's going to get cropped, and just here's the picture. So this, I finally finished it. Very glad. I was planning on having it done by Easter. That didn't work out. That's okay. I did get it done. So I am absolutely in love with this. I love the color of this yarn. This is Chroma Fingering from Knit Picks in the colorway Lava Party. And it's just a ton of fun. I just love this color. Kind of reminds me of the Arizona sunsets, so I'm digging that for sure. I love the oranges and the pinks and the purples. I never would have paired an orange with a purple without having this yarn in this color. The yarn itself was... I have a love-hate relationship with it. I loved many things about it, and I hated many things about it. There were several areas where it was cut and then knotted, and it didn't kind of follow the color scheme, so there was a quick hard shift on the color scheme, which I am not a big fan of. And it was a little bit... For this pattern, it was a little bit splitty. I think it would be okay on other patterns, but this one you have to be really precise about going into the front loop, the back loop, the third loop, and because you're trying to be really precise with what loop you're going into, I had a tendency to kind of split the yarn as I was going. So that for that reason, I'm not a big fan, and that made frogging it a lot more challenging, because when you split the yarn, then when you go to frog it, it doesn't just kind of pull out easily. It gets snagged. So that was not much fun either. So the pattern, I love the pattern. I love the design. I love the look of the top. I love the shape of it. Even though it's very boxy, it's actually a very, very simple structure to the pattern. What I didn't like, and this is just personal for me, is because it was a very specific repeat on it, I would totally get off on where I was. And it's not the kind of project you can just do while you're mindlessly watching TV or crocheting with a group of people, because you have to pay a little bit more attention to what it is, which is part of the reason why it took me a lot longer to get it done than I was planning on. So I like to have a pattern that's a little bit more challenging, but because I wanted to get it done by Easter, I was also thinking that I could work on it during those times that I didn't have to pay as much attention. So I kept messing up, which slowed me down even more, and slow is fast and fast is slow. Very much so. So that's our adage for the day. Now, it is about time to change out my color basket, and I have this basket that I like to have on my desk just because these are my pretty yarns that I like to, I don't know, just give a splash of color to. And I mean, it also has a couple of my cute little amigurumis, but this is currently set for more spring kind of colors. So I thought you could join me as I go through and pick a few colors to swap out these yarns for some other yarns. Let's see. And I did do a little bit of homework on what are some good in-season trending colors for this season, and I was actually really surprised. So it's reds and like actually this pink kind of, and greens. So I don't know if I'm going to go with those colors, but I'm going to pick some colors that inspire me. So let's see what I come up with. So this is what I have come up with. This is actually the same yarn in a different colorway. This is Release the Kraken, and it gives me ocean vibes. So that's why I kind of picked that. And then to go along with the ocean theme, I've got some sandy kind of colors that are just kind of giving me that beach vibe, you know, because we're getting into beach season. And yes, I live in the desert, but hey, a girl can dream, right? So that's the basket that I'm going with for the next couple of months or so, unless I get inspired to change it out. Let me know. What do you think? Do you like my picks? Okay, so my current project. Oh, you know what? I did have one other project that I finished up in April, and that was a sock monkey lovey for my grandnephew, and it was certainly a hit with the adults. I'm not sure he was much of a fan, but that's okay. So I think it came out adorable, and yeah, it was just super sweet. So that kind of brings me to my summary for April. And what I had was I did have the big haul of yarn from Hobie, which I'll link to that video here. And with that haul, I purchased 1,550 grams. I needed to buy some yarn for the sock monkey, and that was 327 grams. The sock monkey pattern took up 275 grams, and then this t-shirt took up 334 grams. So for the month of April, I actually increased my stash by 1,268 grams, but year to date, I am down 202 grams. So I'm still moving in the right direction, just not quite as quickly as I would really like to be moving in that direction. So I think I've got a little bit of work to do, and I keep thinking, oh, I want to buy more yarn. Oh, I want to buy more yarn. Girl, let's work on destashing some of this. So I actually have some plans coming up. I want to do some fun videos that'll help me to destash a little bit of it and get some inspiration and all of those kind of good things. So stay tuned for those, because I've got some fun stuff coming up. And the big project that I have that I'm working on now, it's going to be like a pullover, kind of a sweater, but not really it's more like a beach sweater. So it's kind of a lightweight, beachy type sweater. And this is inspired by the Poppy pullover. And I say inspired by because she used a thinner yarn, lighter weight yarn, and this yarn is really, it's what's called a thick and thin yarn. So it's got the bumpies here, and then if you keep going, it gets into a spot where it just gets really thin. Let's see, there we go. That kind of gets thin, and then it gets bumpy again, and it changes colors as you can see. So it's just going to be just a really casual, hanging, comfy, throw it on at the beach or wherever and just kind of go with it. So this is the back panel. And then I've started on the front panel. It's got a V-neck to it and then some 3/4 sleeves that are kind of rolled up a little bit. So it's super cute. I'll link to the pattern down below if you want to make one yourself. I've been keeping an eye on it for a while. And if you recall last month, one of the gals that I crochet with gifted me this Phoenix yarn. It's called Trendsetter's Phoenix yarn. And while it's really generally not used a lot for crochet, it is used a lot for knitting, but I thought this was the perfect sort of pattern to use something that had a lot of different kind of wavy texture to it. And I love the way it's coming out. Now, obviously I have to block this. It's very wonky in shape until I block it, but I think it is very pretty and I love the coloring on it. It might not be the most flattering coloring for me, but I still love the coloring nonetheless. And yeah, it's kind of an interesting pattern. And working with this thick and thin yarn, it is definitely interesting. So I'm having fun with that. So I'm hoping to have that finished up. Based on my calculation, I think this is going to take me another 7 or 8 hours. I'm hoping maybe I'll have it by the middle of next week done. We'll have to see. Fingers crossed. Anyway, I mean, there's no rush because we're in the summer season and I'm not going camping this summer, so there's not really a lot of places, although it could also be a good store sweater because here in Arizona, I don't know about where you live, but here in Arizona, you can walk from the parking lot and where you are melting and it's like diving into an ice bath when you walk into a store because the refrigeration in there is so cold that you need something to throw over your t-shirt and shorts. So it might be perfect for that. So that is what I am working on at the moment. And then I am just trying to use up some of my stash here as well by making a washcloth using this Red Heart scrubby yarn. Now, I don't know if you've ever had this yarn, but I rank this as one of my least favorite yarns ever. I hate this yarn. I tried making something with just this and I couldn't stand it. This stuff feels like plastic. I mean, it is just horrible. And my plan was to make washcloths anyway. So what I did was I paired it with a Lily Sugar and Cream cotton so that I can at least get through making this. It's still not my favorite, but I'm trying to use up some of the stash that I know I would never use otherwise. I love the concept of this. I just am not enjoying actually making it. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's actually turning out really cute. I'm a big red, white, and blue fan, and it's almost big enough. I think I want to make it, a couple more inches. But otherwise, it's a pretty quick and easy. I'm not a fan of using it. And I mean, even cotton itself is not my favorite yarn to work with, which is part of the reason why I gave up the idea of doing a lot of amigurumi. Which if you've been watching the channel very long, I actually started crochet thinking that amigurumi was going to be pretty much most of what I was going to do. And after doing a few, It just wasn't my thing. Now the plushies, I did do the sock monkey, and he was a lot easier for me. I could handle that. So I might do some more of the softer plushies that don't require a really super tight tension. It still required a bit of attention, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the, the kind that it's got to be so tight you can't see between the stitches, and that hurts my hands, so it's not going to be fun for me. So I have given up on that for the most part. Now, hey, I let myself off the hook if I ever change my mind, because that's how we roll, right, Farah? For sure. And yeah, we'll kind of just go with it for there. But in the meantime, I've got a couple of things. I was starting to kind of, while I was at my son's in North Carolina, and the busy time kind of leading up to that, and the push. Here's the thing, whenever I am like pushing to finish a project like I was with this, and I don't think I'm alone in this. You can let me know if you get it. That's when I really start to get burnt out on crochet. The longer the project takes, the more I get burnt out. So I need projects that generally are going to take me a month or less for the most part, or I'm going to have more whips because I need that variety. I need to change it up periodically. But there's a saying that my mother-in-law loves to say, which is the most exciting time for a crafter is when they start a project and when they finish a project. And for sure, I can completely relate to that. And that's why I need these kind of quick win projects in between doing other things. And it gets really hard for me if I have deadlines like I was planning with this, where I don't have that opportunity to do quick win projects because I'm just pushing so hard to get something finished in a certain time frame. That's when I tend to lose my crojo and get burnt out. So I really did not do, I did very little crocheting while I was in North Carolina with my son, which I took plenty of stuff to crochet. I planned on really spending some time crocheting, but one, between the fact that I had my 5-year-old granddaughter and I only get to see her twice a year, which I'm actually grateful I get to see her that often. But, I wanted to give her as much undivided attention as I could. And then because it was my son's birthday week, he and I share a hobby. We both love to photograph abandoned buildings. Here, it's one of my photographs there. It's one of our favorite things to do. And North Carolina has so many more abandoned places than Arizona does. So we went out and spent the day, just he and I, while my husband stayed with my granddaughter. And, we just drove around North Carolina looking for abandoned buildings, and we found several. So that was very enjoyable. So I didn't have a lot of time to crochet, but I also wasn't like if I hadn't been in that kind of, I don't know how I'm feeling right now, I would have found 15, 20 minutes here and there to get some crochet in. I would have crocheted a lot more on the plane flying there and flying back. Now, I did do some crocheting on the plane, but not as much as I could have. I was really surprised that I just wasn't feeling it. And crocheting for me is something that's supposed to be fun. So if I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to push myself to do something, no matter if I have a deadline. Well, hopefully I don't have a deadline, because I'm not doing this for a paycheck. So it's just an arbitrary deadline if I do have one. I might say, yeah, I want to have that finished by next week. Obviously, the Easter top, I wanted to have it finished for Easter because I wanted to wear it at Easter, but, it's okay that I didn't get it done by then. Not a problem at all. I'll wear it next year for Easter, right? And then I won't have to make one for Easter next year. But maybe I will anyway. Who knows? We get together a lot. Our family does. So I have plenty of opportunities and reasons. I think I'm going to do, it's kind of the size of a pot holder right now, and I need it to be the size of a washcloth. Now, because I'm doing 2 strands, it's a little bit heavier than what most washcloths might be. I think I'm just going to do another row, maybe 2. We'll see. So I was starting to get a little burnt out and on the whole crochet thing. Now, since I've gotten back, I've been able to kind of refocus and review, what I want to do, what I want to accomplish. But I've also been toying around with the idea of learning to knit and wondering when was the right time to learn to knit. Maybe now is, I don't know. It could be just to kind of give me something different to do. But the other thing I've been really wanting to do, and some of the yarn that I bought from Hobie last month was meant for this, is to kind of start getting into designing some things. So, I've watched a couple of videos on how to design crochet patterns. It's still very intimidating to me, but I have some concepts in my brain up here that I really want to explore. So maybe the idea here is that I set some time aside during the day when I can be a little bit more focused. I don't have to be watching TV or, whatever the case, I'll kind of spend time with my husband. But I can just sit and really work on some designs and see how those turn out. So if you've designed anything, I'd love to hear from you what that process was like. Is it something you recommend? I mean, I don't know if I'll ever publish my designs. I mean, there's nothing that's off the table, but at the same time, I'm not putting it on myself to say, oh my gosh, if you design something, you've got to sell it. I just got to see how I feel about it. If I feel like it's unique enough, if it is good enough, if it, I think that's a good size. I think it's pretty close to square. And yeah, I think I like it just that way. Not too big, not too small. Because since it's heavier, I don't want it to be bigger. Yeah, I think I like it right there. So I am going to tie this off and wrap up this video now. A little bit of a scratchy throat still. This spring cold has been kicking with me for a couple of weeks now, so hopefully it's winding down. But anyway, let me know if you've ever done any designing, what you think of it, if you've ever sold anything, all of that good stuff. I'd love to hear from you what your process is like, and what do you do when you sort of start losing your crojo? Do you have certain rituals or habits that you can kind of go to say, all right, or are you just like, hey, I'm good. If I'm not crocheting, that's totally fine. No big deal. Let me know. I want to hear from you. Thanks so much. And hey, Farah, take us out.